some 41 years ago, to be precise, on 15th of May, 1981, it happened that the KANU regime had decided, against the wishes of people of Bondo and Busia South, to deny Jaramogi Oginga Odinga in Bondo and William Bifu in Busia South a ticket to participate in the elections. And there was also ongoing repression of our doctors, and the doctors had gone on strike. So we, as students of the University of Nairobi, decided to demonstrate against that action. As we were battling with the police along the streets of Nairobi, some 6 students decided to walk to Nation House. That time it was on Tomboya Street. And call on the state and university authorities to expel what they call the ringleaders. And they pleaded with the nation not to publish their names, which nation honored. It didn't publish their names, but it published their picture. So the following day, which was a Saturday, 16th of May, 1981, 13 students, among them Makau Mutua, were expelled. And because those names were because the picture was published, of course, by breakfast, everybody has to identify those students and their room numbers. One of them was called Moses Wetangula. Another one was called James Kelonye. And another one was called Justin Muturi. That is who Makau Mutua is. And that is what he didn't want to tell you. So when somebody tells you that somebody goes to Harvard and calls himself a professor, you should ask him who drove him to Harvard. I think when Wetangula tweeted that and I replied, he shut up because he knew he was one of the people who drove Makau out of this country. And Your Excellency, as I said, I'm not going to talk much because what I could say is in that book. But there are 3 things I want. Foregoing speakers have said. In this world, you have only 2 choices. You can choose to make a difference. Hello, comrades? You can choose to, or you can choose to be indifferent. The choice is yours. At every stage in our history, there are those who choose to let things be. If we are colonized, good enough. We'll be loyal subjects. If we are oppressed by neo-colonial set, let it be. That's good enough. And we are always told that you must have faith in your leaders because they know better than you. Comrade Waukara has told us that there's something stronger than faith, and that is what we are talking about today. And mine is not about to talk about history, although what I document here has happened. I'm talking about the future of this country. Hello, comrades. It's about the future of this country. Because if we continue talking in past tense, where's the future of this country? Ruth Mumbi, is the struggle dying? Young people who are here, some of these people you see here, and I'm going to call some of them to stand up, can account for what they did with their youth. Our young people who don't want even to be called the leaders of tomorrow, they are saying they are leaders of today. I'm challenging you to stand and lead this country, because this country is headed to the dogs. This country is dying. And if you don't know, the first act of the non-thieves that have now taken the levers of the state, the first act was to legalize genetically modified foods. That is a death sentence to the Kenyan farmer. It's a death sentence to the people of this country. I grew up in a situation where my mother would go to where she was born and borrow seeds to come and plant. With GMOs, we are going to have something called monoculture. Ask yourself why farms like the transnational farms like Monsanto have built serious bases in this country and are pushing us to go for GMOs. In the last chapter of this book, titled The Eating Chiefs, and that is because we covered only some short period. It was less than 3 years into the then new regime. Within those 3 years, more than 22 mega scandals, corruption scandals had taken place. 2 trillion shillings in 3 years. They're there in the last chapter of this book. And that's why we titled it, The New Eating Chiefs. Because where I come from again, there is a group of elders called Jodongaich. These are elders that judge according to what they receive. Literally translated is like the elders of the stomach. But it's not about corruption, comrades. Corruption, all these things you are seeing, these are symptoms. We must go to the root of how our society is organized and get rid of this cancer. But at every stage we are outmaneuvered. I think for the 7th time, this last week, I spent again reading Jaramogi's Not Yet Uhuru. And you look at how these people resisted the nationalists like Jaramogi, who are insisting on true independence. But when, and they were saying even Kenyatta should not be released. But when it became inevitable that Kenya was going to be independent, how they outmaneuvered, captured Kenyatta, and Jaramogi became people's enemy #1, according to them. To the extent that they could even order Kenyatta remove his name from the list of ministers, and Kenyatta could obey. And that is what has happened in this country over and over and over again after independence, and even after we restored multipartyism. Our recent elections were not stolen by Ruto and Gachagua. Ask yourself, If the British High Commissioner could be in a discussion group with Ruto's strategy team, I'm saying this because this is captured, it was there, discussing strategy long before the elections. Ask yourself the timing of the sending here of the US ambassador to Kenya. His Excellency will confirm. I had to move out of bed. I'd just been operated on in August last year. I was still supposed to be out of duty. Then we got information of the tender that was being given to Smartmatic. And we tried. So it's not that we were caught unawares by Smartmatic. But at every stage, they knew what they wanted. Hello, are we? So I'm trying to remind you that if you are not ready for the long haul, my friends, you can surrender. However, when I see the young energies in this room, we have worked with for 40 years and are not giving up. When I see my mentor, my comrade, my boss, Raila Amolo Odinga, not giving up, who are you to do so? Who are you? Somebody told us that the reason why our elections were stolen, and please look at the board of Smartmatics. You'll see that a former president of the United States of America is a member of the board of Smartmatics. And is somebody some of you might even have admired. And they said, not again to have a Magufuli in East Africa. So this thing was not being done here in Karen. This was a global conspiracy. I know I'm surprising some of you, but it's the reality. Because I was taught to say what I know. If I didn't know, I wouldn't say it. But let me give you hope. The spirit of the struggle, just like Waukara said, can never die. It is stronger than faith. And there are so many spaces of struggle. One of the spaces is the National Museums of Kenya. Another space is writing history and living that history. Another one is walking the streets and saying no to oppression, no to dictatorship, no to exploitation. But for us to do that, we can't sit at National Museum and agonize. We must organize. As I said, I don't want to get drunk in my own beer party. So I want to ask comrades that have gone through Nyayo House, have gone through committee, have gone through exiles, and those who lived on the other side of prison, like Wahukara, like Ruto Law, the brother Onyango Law. You know, most of you know his history. I don't know whether Hannah Wangare is here. She didn't come. The daughter to Peter Yankihara. And so on. Can you kindly stand so that these fellow comrades can appreciate you? Warwinu and others, please.
The ones who are in prison and the ones who are on the other side of prison.
Yes.
Yes. Very good.
No, and including, hello, Jaskan, including the young Ong'Wens here, because they were also on the other side of prison.
Yes. Very good. Very good.
Viva Revolution, viva!
Viva!
Viva Wazalendo, viva!
Viva!
A luta continua.
Very good. Stay there, stay there.